Hello, it's 2026, Mark, and we've
It
got
is
somebody new here.
2026. Well, he's sort of new, isn't he? I mean, technically, he was on this before I was.
A founding father, some might say.
Well, hang on a minute. You're not my father.
Only popped out for milk.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
right,
and then
yeah.
we locked the door, didn't we?
That's right, yeah. Usual story, yes. You'll be back in a minute.
Yeah.
Do you all have a
Good
good
stuff.
Christmas and New Year and all of that?
Yep. We're now back on it though. It's comes around and then goes by very quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
technically,
yeah.
I'm off today. I'm not working today.
Well, I'm not working today. I'm not working until Tuesday. Well, I say I'll probably have got some editing to do on Monday, but I'm having today off and the weekend off. I've had quite
Yeah. There's no point going back to work on a Friday, is there? That's just
not for one day. I mean,
yeah.
I've actually had a good few days off, which is unusual for me. I'm
Mm.
I'm normally happy to get 2 days off in a row, but I've had quite a few days off, so it's been nice.
Good stuff. Right. We're going to get straight into it. And
Mhm.
as usual, we're going to kick off with the headlines and some of our comments from some of the news stories from around the photography world that have grabbed our attention in over the recent couple of weeks. And the first one really follows on a little bit quite well from what we were talking about in the last episode, where we talked about AI. I don't know, some of you are going to be thinking, oh, AI and rolling your eyes at that and
That's
everything. But
every intro to AI. You say that. It's like, oh,
but I know, but
AI.
it is the way things are going, and we have to embrace it, and it's the only way. But it's to do with Twitter or X, shall we say, which I don't actually use. I
Well, you
don't actually have
do.
an account.
The photography bar uses it, so you kind of do.
Apart from the photography bar.
Indirectly.
Okay. Well, Robert, tell us about this. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so I it's funny you say you don't use Twitter. I don't really use Twitter anymore either, but a newsworthy item nevertheless. So for those that do use it, obviously you'll be familiar with Grok, which is Twitter X's Elon's AI chatbot assistant thing, and a new system's been released now for this, whereby you can actually edit people's photos using that AI chatbot. So, for example, if I tweet something with a photo, you can hover over that image, and without anyone's permission, with no way to give consent or opt out, you can edit that person's image with a prompt. Whether it's add. The example I saw was someone added two children to a photo with a couple's portrait, and it separated them out really nicely, and plonked two random kids in. um, and it looks just as these AI systems work now, it looks incredible. Like you just would never know it was really to the untrained eye, which is most people, you'd never know it was really AI.
Yeah.
So really, it was just an interesting point because it was just that whole kind of thing around consent for AI and your images being on a different platform. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? And I just thought that was worth mentioning.
Well, it is an interesting one. I mean, obviously, in the episode we did in December, just before Christmas, we talked about the animation AI, and that was Grok. It wasn't through X or Twitter. It was a different program, it's a different app you can put on your phone.
Right.
And some of the stuff we managed to do just from a photo, the animation on some of my cosplay stuff was incredible. And it was hard to tell that it wasn't a video already, that it's just come from a thing. So, uh, but this is obviously something different. It's available for everyone who's using that social media platform. Um, yeah, it's where it's going. I mean, I think we also mentioned about how was it Getty Images Cam tried to file a lawsuit against an AI company and actually failed, mainly because they didn't have all their ducks in a row, I think, wasn't it? But yeah, everything seems to be favouring the AI systems these days.
I mean, the thing is if you can go on to X and re-edit an image, almost what's the point? Is my question.
Of
Right?
what?
Is what's
Point
the
of
point
what?
of re-editing an image? And what are you going to do with it if you're doing it for your own sort of personal? Oh, I'm going to grab this image and I'm going to do some editing with it, and great, I've done what I can with it and whatever, and I just keep it for myself. That's fine. But what's the point in? I mean, what's the point? I mean, it's just going to lead. It's going to lead.
That should be the name of this episode. What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
It's going to lead. It's only going to lead to problems. But they must have covered themselves somehow legally. So if I take a picture from X and I do something with it, pop it back on X, and let's just say that I take a picture of, say, a person, let's say a footballer, okay, a well-known footballer, and I put something on, and I add an image. I added an image of that footballer who's married and got family, of him with another lady and some other kids. Now, does that
sounds like you've done this before, Cam?
I mean, it's interesting. It's interesting you went this way with it, but
But does that footballer have the right to sue? Does that footballer have the right to sue, or is everyone covered through Grok or whatever?
Okay, well, a couple of things, I guess. First off, who's he going to sue? Is he going to sue the person who put up the tweet, or is he going to sue X for having the ability of doing the edit? When you say what's the point, I mean, I kind of get it, but what was the point in that Grok app that we were using?
It's all just a bit of entertainment for a lot of people, isn't it? What can you do?
Well, it certainly was. I mean,
it
definitely entertained us. From a photo to a 6-second movie.
I think so. I think it is. You can say it's entertainment. We were saying Grok is fantastic. You can have a lot of fun with it, and I get that. And I think that's what it's there for. It can be used for things like that. But something like this could have, where you can just grab an image and edit it. And is that literally any image? So if I was to put a picture on X of, say this footballer in question, right, that we're talking about, he posts the photo of himself with his family, but somebody else edits that picture, and they change the children in there, and they change the lady that he's with. Then yes, who does this footballer sue? Is a footballer going to sue? Because some people are going to believe it. AI is so good. Where do we go? I mean, we don't really have an answer to it, do we? We're just saying from this story that this is something that's out there.
I have to imagine as well that at some point we've all not read the terms and conditions, because no one does. Let's be honest.
No one does.
and signed those rights away to some extent. When you post an image on Twitter or any like meta platform, I'm sure that there's somewhere in there that you're giving people license to do kind of whatever the system allows them to do with any images that are posted, I would have thought. And if you've got a system like Grok editing images, that's got to have a look. Well, we'll take it to the research lab, the R&D team, and we'll see if they can scour through the terms and conditions for us and come back with a definition on that.
Okay. Well volunteered there, Rob.
But yeah, but it must be in there signed away, right? It must be.
But it's just letting people know that this is out there, that it can be done, and we don't know what the answer to it. We don't know what the ramifications are, and where it's going to lead to anything. This is just the beginning. But
is it a good thing? Before we spend too long on this one, is it a good thing? Do you think good or bad that you can do that?
I don't know. Right, because
I mean, I've just had a look on
what's the point? My idea was, what's the point? Before you can say, if someone says to me, the point of this is this, then I'd be able to say, actually, yes, I think it is a good idea.
Well, I guess it's entertainment. I mean, I'm looking at X now, and I have to say it's mostly video on X. There's very few pictures. I'm just literally going through just a scroll of some random stuff. There's a chap in a lift. I don't know what's going on with that guy, but. So the first photo that's come up, I don't think I want to even start to edit this one, is one of Trump, right? So I'm not even going to go there.
Oh gosh,
but
yeah.
I don't even know. So I'm looking. I don't even know how to do it. So there's no sort of obvious button to press unless I need to. I mean, I haven't updated this for a while. I guess that might be partly it, but I think we'll have to look into it a bit more and see what we can do.
Should we trial it? We'll trial it.
Yeah,
we'll try it. But yeah, I'd like to know, what is the point of doing it before I can say I think it's good or not? So I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, why have they done it, and what do they think? But why? Yeah, why have they done it?
What's the point? Then as Cam keeps saying, it's a bit old man shouts at cloud there, Cam. But I'm not.
Can I give a little bit of a philosophical thought on this? Right, I don't know if it is philosophical or not, but. Don't you think it's interesting? I know you guys have had a bigger discussion about AI, so I don't want to open that whole can of worms up again necessarily. But over the years, when people have been able to retouch things and do it well, it's a real skill to learn to do it, make it believable, that sort of thing. It's not something that's been that accessible. And if it has been done quickly and for a joke, then it's obviously a joke, isn't it? Like it's done badly. You can tell quite quickly that someone's faked something or whatever it is. And don't you think now the scary part of this, really, with things like this Twitter integration with Grok and image editing, is that it's just so there's like, world class kind of image editing available at your fingertips to people that kind of use it carelessly, if you like. And it's so like readily available to the masses. You don't quite know how it's going to be used for nefarious means, or whereas that wouldn't have been the case 5 or 6 years ago. It would have looked crap, it would have looked rubbish, you would have known it was fake. But now you've given everyone the power to do this. Do you know what I mean? Is what I'm trying to say with that?
It's so good.
Absolutely. Well, we are in the age of misinformation, aren't we? And it's not just a little bit, like you said, you could tell if it was a bit dodgy bit of Photoshop or something like that. And to be honest with you, again, with our conversation in our last episode, some of the Grok stuff we did, you can tell looks dodge. You can say, oh, that's AI. I think there is some sort of too good to be true vibe to some of this stuff, and you can kind of go, yeah, that's AI.
It's a bit uncanny valley, isn't it? When you look at it, sometimes it's a bit, like something's not quite right about this. Like it looks real, but something's not quite right. They're dead behind the eyes, the people that you're watching. Like,
there's something just not quite right, and you can kind of go, yeah, that's AI. But yeah, it can be very dangerous.
Yeah, but it will only get better. So there is that as well. So, okay, jumping on to the next one now, Robert. This is something that you and I spoke very briefly about. We had a coffee just before Christmas, didn't we? And it's something you mentioned actually about the alternatives to Photoshop. We talk about editing going on from AI there. We're still talking about editing here, but this is quite different here. Nothing to do with AI. Most photographers now are trying to get in. They get into editing as well. They want to sit down. They want to learn Photoshop. I mean, Photoshop itself has just become a word, hasn't it? I mean, it's a brand. It's a name of a program. That's really all it was.
I mean, it's one of those few companies that enjoy being part of the language. Sellotaped's another one.
Yeah, let's Photoshop it. Everyone knows it, and
everyone says it.
But we were talking about it, and I think, as I said, Robert, you mentioned that how there are other alternatives out there, and free alternatives was really what you were saying, wasn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there's always been. Sorry, Cam, were you going to carry on there?
No, go on.
I was going to say there's always been good alternatives or okay alternatives, but they've always, been lacking a few features, not quite had the same kind of fluidity, if you like, to Photoshop, especially if you're used to that system. Your shortcuts, no doubt. You've got everything set up how you like it, your interface. So to go to say like Photopia or whatever it might be, or Photopea Cam, as we've called it in the past. But there's loads out there. Even Affinity back in the day, you have to kind of reteach yourself some of the shortcuts and that sort of thing. And now people, I think, are a bit fed up with Adobe. And there was a point where they switched to the subscription-based model, and you thought, oh wow, this has all of a sudden become quite affordable now. I remember when I was a student and Photoshop was totally out of reach. To get Adobe products at that point, not saying I had to do this.
I know what you're going to say.
But
very careful.
Other people would have acquired it through different means. Not me, not anyone that we know.
Okay, well, no, absolutely. And
just needed the code for the CD, didn't they?
Well, we just need to disassociate ourselves from that. But there were definitely a lot of people with parrots on their shoulders kicking about.
Yes, yeah.
Exactly. You just needed that long code.
You want a bit of Photoshop, do you?
Photoshop, the whole suite.
Yeah.
But then obviously when they switched the subscription model, all of a sudden I was a student at the time, and I was like, great, I'm going to get the student edition here. So I've got Photoshop and Lightroom for a really affordable price. Stuck with it for years, and all of a sudden everyone had legit copies of every update, and it was great. But I think over the years it's become more and more expensive. I think you have to pay like 40 quid a month for Adobe Acrobat, which is like just a PDF reader, which is ridiculous.
Really?
I don't know who's paying 40 quid a month for Adobe Acrobat Pro, but
no.
Let me know what you're getting out your PDFs, because I would love to know how that's justified. But so anyway, So to combat, say, the video editing side of things, there's another alternative called DaVinci Resolve, and I think it was a few years ago, actually turned their entire system free, and not like trial it free, not a light version where it's stripped of a lot of features. They turned the whole program completely free, and this was a good competitor, good alternative to Premiere Pro at the time. And so after seeing the success of that, people switched into DaVinci Resolve, saving some money from Premiere Pro. It's an expensive program, of course, like all the others are. Canva, who own Affinity, then follow the same model now with their Affinity suite, and turn that completely free. So in there, you've got a free alternative now to Illustrator, to InDesign, and to Photoshop. And previously, these have all been separate programs, and now they're all been lumped into one Affinity program, essentially. And you can switch workplace to go into the Illustrator mode, the InDesign kind of alternative mode, and then the Photoshop mode. And I tried it out, and actually, for me, everything I would need out of Photoshop, I can do in that now, and they've matched the shortcuts pretty well. You can fine tune it to do that if you need to.
But you saying that's in Affinity?
Affinity, yeah, Affinity,
yeah,
and it's completely free. It's not like a light version. It's the completely free full version of it, but they're trying to upsell you to Canva Pro, which is their.
So funnily enough, I mean, this is only recently, wasn't it? It became free very, very recently. Yeah. I think it went free just after I actually purchased Affinity Publisher 2, which I've got on my desktop, which I needed for a particular reason. It was for some design work. I purchased it, yes, and since then it's gone free. You know, it could have only been about 3 or 4 weeks after, because the person that told me to purchase it, and I did purchase it, then sent me a message, said, "Oh, it's actually free now." So I did purchase it. But
you should have emailed them and say, "Look, I bought this," and see if they'll
exactly. Yeah, maybe well.
But my question. Oh, carry on, Cam.
What I was going to say was that I started to do a little bit of research into it as well to see why are people switching and what's happening. And I came across 2 or 3 interesting articles, and one was from F-Stoppers, and the guy that put this article together it was Justin Tedford, and this actually goes back to August as well. And he was saying that what is driving the departure for a lot of people from Adobe. And he's basically saying it's in one word, it's subscriptions. And that it says, I'll read it. It says subscriptions have their pros and cons, like everything, but many are starting to feel subscription burnout. Think about it. How many subscriptions as a photographer are you paying for each month? It says, for me, it's 6. Add in the subscriptions you are using at home, the number can be much higher. Gone are the days of purchasing software and then uploading it for use. So don't get me wrong, the subscription route in the long run is a much more affordable option if you regularly update your software. Many are starting to feel that you're essentially renting the software, which is just wasted money. So many alternatives offer flexible plans or one-time purchases, creating long-term savings in return. An Adobe photography plan costs $240 a year compared to Affinity Photo costing a one-time purchase of $70. Well, actually, that's not the case now, is it? Because Affinity is free.
I did actually buy Affinity Photo a while back as well.
Right, good.
Is it any good? Because I've never used it.
Yeah, it's good. It's decent, and I used it for some focus stacking, because to focus stack in Photoshop takes about 12 years. Yeah, and so I used it for their focus stacking, and it was like just like so quick and just as accurate, and it was great. So I bought it for that very reason. And I think there was a price hike with Adobe, or there was something that Adobe had done. And Affinity jumped on the bandwagon. We're like, well, we're 50% off this week, so why don't you come try us out? So I did, and I can't remember what the controversy was now. There was something going on, but yeah, it was really good system anyway. But to now be free, I think is amazing. So there's no reason not to try it if it's free.
No, there's absolutely no reason not to try it. I mean, I do have. Okay, this is my sort of suspicious mind going on now. Why are they doing it for free? There has to be something in it for them. Like you said, they're trying, like with Infinity, they're trying to get you to Canva Pro. Well, what if that doesn't work? What if suddenly they kind of go, well, this isn't working and we're losing money here? It's not going to be free for much longer. So people who are then going, well, I've left my Adobe subscription, I now want to hear, and now suddenly this is now becoming no longer free. I mean, is that a possibility, do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally get. I personally, I think it's more a case of they'd rather they have the user base than someone else have the user base. And there's plenty of there's plenty of other free video editors out there, for example. plenty of other photo editors out there now for people that, let's say mobile users, for example, all these photo editing apps are out there that aren't ever going to purchase.
Well, yeah, but they always tend to be light versions, don't they? Which I know this Infinity isn't.
No, that's right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's just where do you go in the long run? There's a reason why it's free. It's never really free. Is it going to be an advert? I mean, are you going to be bombarded with adverts in the future?
So your question is then, Mark, really is to paraphrase Cam here. Well, not paraphrase, but direct
What's
quote.
the point?
What's the point?
No, it's not. No. It's not a what's the point. I get what the point is. It's to capture people. It's like what Facebook did when Facebook came about. You know, here you had a massive subscription. It wasn't subscription because it was free, but you had this massive sort of uptake of people joining a social media site. And in the early days of Facebook, there was no ads, there was nothing. And everyone was asking, well, how's this making money? It got to a point, well, people are saying Zuckerberg's worth X, but how? Because he's not making any money from Facebook. But what he had was a massive, massive database of people. And then the adverts came in.
Yeah, that's a fair. It could change. It could definitely change.
Yeah,
I mean, they've obviously got a game plan here, haven't they? They're not going to just chuck it out for free and whatever. They're going to be somewhere.
They're not doing it to be nice.
It's like
I feel like it's a bit of. Sorry, Cam, go
on. No, sorry, go on.
Very nice done. Nice in the headphones. I feel like it's like I say, they'd rather someone that's going to use them for free. Wasn't going to use them before because they were using Adobe. So they're in their kind of funnel now, if you like, and it's up to them, whatever systems they've got, to kind of upsell them at various points and maybe try and get them onto a pro plan. But even if they're not going to get them onto that, there must be X amount of percent that they know are going to sign up and go onto the pro features, kind of say the more professional users, or sort of real high-end professional users that need kind of those real extended features that perhaps they release in future editions. Maybe they kind of cap it off where it is feature wise, and everything else becomes Affinity Plus or something like, I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah, there must be some sort of long-term game plan.
It has to be.
Yeah, they've got a lot more stuff that they've not released yet. That's all going to become pay for. Just add this on, and we're all going to be tempted by it because that's how it works. That's how all apps work. And what I was going to make was that it doesn't matter if when you download an app on your phone, whatever it's to do with. It could be a travel app, it could be a health app, or whatever it is. You download it for free, and most of them have some free content. But what you're really looking for has got to be unlocked with a paid monthly subscription.
Yeah.
But that's just the way things are going. That's the way people now expect to pay for things and to buy things these days. They want to be able to pay. I went out going back. I remember this is months ago, and I went into a shoe shop, and they had Klarna adverts in there that you could pay for your shoes monthly or however it is. In fact, the school that we run, that's people pay monthly, and that's via Klarna as well. It's just the way people are used to budgeting, their income these days. That's how it is,
absolutely.
What they expect to do. It's a way of affording it and being able to cancel it without any fee. So if they want something for 2 or 3 months, and if they want something and they use it for a couple of months, don't use it again, they're free to cancel it, and without being penalised and thinking, well, I spent £600 on that. Well, I only spent £60. It's £230 a month. Didn't cost me a great deal. So
and I'm also going to
thing there as well, isn't there?
Put a little bit of in defense of Adobe as well, because they are market leaders for a reason. Infinity isn't and never has been. It might be in the future. We don't know. The price hike.
Have you used Affinity, Mark?
No, I've not. And that probably, but lots of people haven't used it. That's my point. It's not a market leader, is it?
It's got you there,
market leader. It's not a market leader.
No, which is what I just said.
Yeah,
well, I said in the future it might be. That's what I said, but I've not used it. And why haven't I used it?
It's true.
Yeah, because you weren't aware of it.
Happy with your Adobe offering, and
I wasn't aware of it until recently.
That. Yeah. Well, and there you go. So,
in fact, I remembered why people got fed up with Adobe. I remember what the reason was, and which is probably what prompted this Affinity move. Is it was to do with AI, training their AI model. So everyone's photos were then being used to train their AI models, and everyone was like, "Well, you're not getting my photos. We're switching to something else." I think that's where it's all spawned from that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I mean, I can't, Infinity will do the same at some point. I mean, they're all doing the same. So I mean, yeah, and if you're got images on the web, Chat GPT's probably done something with your images already. So and that's a big that's a big assumption, by the way. But just to go back, what is it? It's now about 15 quid a month, isn't it, for Adobe? For the quote unquote photographer's package. But you're getting Lightroom, you're getting Photoshop, you're getting a load of other things as well. There's a lot of
For me, it's really good value for money.
It is good value for money. The only thing I'm not keen on is the AI bit where you gotta, you got X amount of credits, and then if you run out of those, you got to pay extra. I think if you subscribing to something, you should get everything. That's the only thing I'm not keen on. But I find it much better than what it was because, you had to spend about 600 quid to get it, didn't you, back in the day before it was subscription?
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
yeah. Some people did. Yeah.
Who had 600 quid? Just to
drop on it. Yeah,
it's not everyone that had a copy of Photoshop spent £600 on it. But
no, my point was that was their that's
what it was.
That's their model, wasn't it? So you pay 600 quid, you have a bit of software, and then in 3 years' time, it's probably obsolete, and you have to pay 600 quid again. Those were back in the days. Microsoft were the same with their operating systems, weren't they? You had Windows 95,
box, didn't you?
Yeah, Windows 95. Then there's Windows XP, and then a few years down the line, Windows 10 came out, whatever it was. And you had to pay again. And then when I first got my Apple one, I was quite amazed that you could just update your operating system for free. And now, obviously, Microsoft do the same now, don't they? So yeah, that was the start of it all, I guess. But yeah, I don't want to bash Adobe too much.
No, not at all. Because Lightroom,
but their systems have gotten clunkier and slower. I would say they're. No.
Oh, would you say
I'm not going to give them too much praise. Yeah, because they make billions anyway. So I'm going to be.
Well, they do.
I'm gonna. No, they're a good. They offer a good product. Don't get me wrong. They're market leader for a reason. Completely agree. But I found that over the years, like Photoshop is just getting so bloated with just useless features that you think, why is this in Photoshop? Why can I edit video in Photoshop? Why can I do this in Photoshop? Is it a photo editing program, or is it a graphic design suite now, or what is it?
I understand that, yeah.
And that's no slight on anyone that uses it for design stuff or anything like that. But I just feel like it for me, maybe it's just my system, my PC that I use or whatever. But it's getting clunkier and clunkier and a bit bloated, and they change shortcuts for no reason, and they want you to save it to the cloud, but you say, I don't want to save it to the cloud, I want to save it as a JPEG.
No, that stuff is annoying. I get
you got to save it as a copy instead of just save as. And
I get that. I think it's just me. I'm glad it's just me. This whole save as a copy thing.
Like, where's that come from? Who's asked for that? Are they just trying to justify this subscription every month or every year?
Exactly.
But the save as copy thing, I never have that issue. What's that?
So you can enable legacy save as in the preferences, but basically now with every update, if you do save as, it goes save as copy instead. So you have to delete the copy bit, or you have to delete. It says like your file name and then copy, and you get limited.
Why don't you just press Control Shift and S, dude?
What's that? That's save as.
Yeah. And it doesn't do the copy thing.
No, it does.
Really?
It does, yeah.
I did some edits. I've done some edits. No.
Yeah. Perhaps maybe do an update.
You're on Photoshop 2001 or something.
Actually, it is 2023. It says on there. But
I think you need to do an update.
I probably need to do an update.
You're paying for your subscription. You're still using the 3 year out of date.
No, it does update. I don't know why that's the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you watch what's going to come on fuming in the next one. I've got rid of Photoshop.
Yeah.
I've got rid of it.
Yeah, I scrapped that. I'm now with Infinity.
Okay.
But they're little things that I'm talking about. Little things, the program itself is great, and we love Adobe. We love Adobe.
Okay.
So disingenuous there, Rob.
Moving on. Now, I know that we've said this ages ago, and Robert, you probably remember this, but for a lot of people, to get into photography, the entry point has been wedding photography, or it's become wedding photography, hasn't it? A lot of people use wedding photography as a way to get into photography. It's an easy entry route into the world of photography. And I'm not looking down on wedding photography at all by saying that, but it's something that everyone. It's something that so many people do. However, wedding photographers, there's always a story about a wedding photographer, isn't there? It
So
hits a
bloody many of them,
headline,
that's
doesn't
why.
it? That creates a
Yeah.
headline. You don't hear about, a product photographer or an industrial commercial photographer who's got into trouble with his customers. You don't really, they don't make the news, do they?
No.
Those type of stories. It's
So don't-
always wedding photographers, isn't it, Mark?
Well, I guess so. I mean, those industrial photographers don't really deal with the general public, I guess. So
No.
these news stories are for the general public, and then the general public get worried, don't they?
They do.
Which
So
I guess is.
So if anyone is
the
out
problem.
there is thinking of, so if anyone is out there thinking of becoming a wedding photographer, just be careful because of this cracking story.
Well, yes. I mean, this guy's a bit of a plonker, to be honest. But yes. So I did get this story from Petapixel, and it was wedding photographer sentenced to jail for scamming 160 couples. So basically, this guy was he's sentenced for 18 months. I mean, that's in prison for this. I don't think that would happen here. But anyway, basically, a photographer who is identified only as Mr. A. Been described in his 20s. Yeah. So that's how serious this is. They're not even his identity has not been put out.
Has the same person been editing pictures of footballers on Twitter?
Yeah, that's right. This Mr. A guy gets around, but we won't be hearing from him for a bit because he's in prison for 18 months. So identified only as Mr. A and described as being in his 20s, was convicted of fraud charges by the Daejeon District Court Criminal Division 11. Now, this is in South Korea. So prosecutors say the photographer who owned a wedding company deceived approximately 170 brides and grooms between July 2022 and January 2024 after contacting them through a service matching application. So basically what happened was he asked for money up front and he got the whole money up front, which I do as a wedding photographer. I don't know if you do that, Cam. And he basically never delivered the content, essentially. Now, in some cases, he didn't even turn up to the wedding. And I think it was 8 people that actually really chased him about this and basically got him to court. And he's had to pay, I think, reparations. And he's gone to prison for 18 months.
What's interesting, actually, is that it says here, it says investigators found that Mr. A was experiencing financial difficulties and used money paid by newlywed couples for personal living expenses or to cover filming and labour costs for other clients. But the thing is we all have to do that, don't we? It says, I mean, he used the money.
Was it rolling payment or something?
Personal living expenses and to cover filming and labour costs for.
Yeah.
But that's
what we all
business. That's what everyone does. So why they've even mentioned that actually makes no sense, unless it said that he spent all the money on flash cars and everything.
Well, it might have been,
but it says personal living expenses or to cover filming. That's what he says, But
I mean, that's
as you said, but it's always wedding photographers. It's always wedding. It always makes a headline, though, doesn't it? Wedding photography.
Well, there's two. Like I said earlier, because it affects the general public. And it always seems a bit more outrageous. It's a wedding day, which everyone perceives as a special day, which it is, of course. And this, it's a wedding nightmare, isn't it? It's up there with the cake not turning up or the vicar not turning up. It would be news if something like that happened. And there's
like you say, weddings in general just are headlines, aren't they? Because people think, "Gosh,
they are.
It's a wedding,"
We spoke about what was it? The guy from we spoke about this last episode. Where was it? Chris Martin turned up to a wedding, right? Now that made news.
Your favorite, right?
Now, if Chris Martin turned up to a group turned up to a party with a group of lads just celebrating something else, it probably wouldn't have made the news. But because it was a wedding, it adds that extra sort of story, doesn't it?
So if you're thinking of becoming a wedding photographer, just watch yourself. It's very easy to make the headlines.
Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, I think obviously they mentioned about this covering living expenses. You just have to be disciplined with the money that you bring in. That's part of being self-employed. Sometimes you think you've had a massive month and you got, I don't know, loads of money coming in, and then the next month maybe a little bit leaner. So
I
don't
think
spend all your money, basically,
Yeah.
which I
But
think is what this guy's done.
just to add to that, though, I completely agree with what you're saying there. But if you're gonna like whatever you do with the money, maybe just turn up and do the work still, and you won't get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know,
at least do the work,
deliver what
that's
you
right,
say
yeah.
you're going to deliver, and then no one's going to care what you do with the money necessarily. In
Well,
theory,
absolutely.
he's being chased
Yeah,
for
that's
not
right.
not delivering the work, isn't he? At the end of the day,
Yeah, essentially.
from the
that's right,
sounds
yeah.
of it, yeah. So it's
Yeah. Okay, right. And the final story for this, before we move on to something else. Robert, you made us aware of this. Creative Live, which is a learning platform, recently closed down, but is reopening again. It's not a platform that I've actually used, and you were telling me about it, and I thought, oh, actually, that sounds quite interesting. Do you want to tell us a little bit about this?
Yeah, I think I came across Creative Live years ago. It must be about 10 years ago, well, maybe a little bit less than that. And I used it when I was a student, and I was looking at kind of studying product photography, studio lighting, posing. I used it for architecture and sort of interior exterior photography because I had quite a big interest in that at one point. And essentially what they are they're live seminars that are streamed on their platform, and then the seminars are made accessible to people afterwards as well, for purchase. And you can download it and you can play it back at however you like afterwards. But they're sort of in some cases 2-3 day long seminars people are attending, so you're getting hours and hours, tens of hours of footage, if you like, or content to watch and experience to kind of learn from. And it's always been a really, really good platform. And I've received an email from them after not using the platform for many years, to be honest with you. But my sort of need had gone at that point for the service. But to receive an email to say that Creative Live is shutting down at the end of the year, 31st of December 2025. And now's the time to go and log into the service, download any courses you may have purchased from over the years, so you can keep them, play them. And yeah, thank you for your service, etc., etc. And we wish you all the best. And that was that. And then glad to say that I think it was just after Christmas that we have received another email to say that we've been bought out now, and we're staying open, so you can continue to use the service however you'd like. Keep your subscriptions live if you do pay for it on a monthly basis, and all content still available. More plans to come in the new year, essentially. And I should add that it was Fiverr that owned Creative Live, and it's a big company. They had hundreds of millions of pounds of investment at various stages of its operation. I think they had 500 million at one point in one go invested in as a company. So it's a big operation. And they've now been bought out. I forget who it is that's bought them out now. I think it's like Creative Course Horse. That's
Course
it.
Horse,
Course
yeah.
Horse, yeah.
Course Horse.
So just really good news, really. I think for anyone that's perhaps starting out in a creative field, because it's not just photography that they serve, although it was where they got their start, I believe. Great news for anyone in a creative field to use that service, and for anyone that's used it in the past, keep using it. Essentially, I don't know if either of you have ever used it before or come across it at any point.
No, none of this stuff was about when I was at uni. So, we were still using 35 mil. So yeah, none of this stuff was really available. Yeah, so I mean, courses like this are great. I think it is very important to have all these different areas of knowledge. I do feel though, if I was at college now and I was having to use this thing like this, I'd be like, well, what am I paying my college fees for? Because they're supposed to be teaching me this. Yeah, no, I completely see it. It's like I tend to go onto YouTube if I want to help with something. There's always someone with the video somewhere that wants to do what you're doing. And I think, yeah, having the knowledge out there is great. And it's great that something like this has been saved, because I think it is very important to a lot of people.
Just reading a little bit about the history of it, just before we finish off on this part. It says it was launched in 2011 by founders Katie Kapler and Neil Parathasari, after it won $75,000 at a New York at NYU Business School, at NYU Business School competition. And it said it received an additional $500,000 in angel funding. It raised an additional $4 million in funding from Red Ventures in January. And basically, they had over 70,000 classes and 200,000 members across the US. So it turned into it was obviously a huge success.
I
And
think I said 500 million earlier. Obviously, it was
I think you did.
500,000. So,
I sort of
sorry.
raised my eyebrows. I was
500
reading it.
million.
That's right. Yeah, so, yeah. Anyway, so that's
You got
yeah,
me.
just to correct that. Yeah. Anyway, but it's good, and being able to learn from anywhere is great, and these platforms, and it's up to the users to keep it alive. So good stuff. Okay, right, we're going to stop there, take a break, and we will be back. Okay, guys. Now I have been watching, or I've just finished watching Yellowstone. All 5 series. I don't know if either of you have watched it.
Kevin Costner?
Not watched it. Okay. So
Is it
I urge you to watch it. In fact, I urge anyone who's...
I don't know, Rob. Is it Costner? I don't know.
It is, yeah. Anyone who's
okay.
anyone who's in video filming, cinematography, but photographers as well, because you could take every clip from Yellowstone and pause it, and it just makes an incredible still image. The filming aspects of it is absolutely incredible, and I watched that. That's part of the reason why I was watching it, because it was getting me inspired about going out there and taking images, because it's basically a masterclass in using light. And that's if somebody said to me now is, oh, what's a good way to use light, or what can I go photograph, and how can I use light really well, I'd say go and watch Yellowstone, go and watch all 5 series of it, and you just can't fail to be impressed. It's so good. Now, moving on from that, it's something I'm going to be talking about next month, but as part of what I do, I'm going to be launching a new photography club in our local area here, and we've had a lot of people that have shown interest who are going to be attending some taster sessions, and we sent out a survey form to them with some questions, and there were sort of multiple choice responses, and within that, we were in the survey form, I'd asked that, what are you looking for in a photography club? Why are you thinking of enrolling in a photography club? Why do you want to do this? And the number of people that said, I need some inspiration, that was probably the most popular answer to that particular question. I need some inspiration. So my sort of question to you guys, or a conversation I wanted to have, was, where do you guys get inspiration from? And I'm talking about now, not necessarily where you've got inspiration from in the past. Where do you guys, because we all work in photography, I don't view photography as a hobby, and that's and I don't feel I'm missing out on that at all, by saying it's not really a hobby. But where do I get inspiration from? Because you can look at Instagram and you see so many great images, but I've got quite bored with all of that. You see some great stuff, but a lot of it now is AI. A lot of it's so heavily photoshopped, shall we say? Okay, that I just sort of move. I just move past so many everything now that I say it doesn't inspire me. But something like you're watching a TV series, Yellowstone, it's got me out thinking, I just want to go out and shoot. Just that master class in light has been fantastic. So what inspires you guys? And also on top of that, where do you think people can look for inspiration as well? These people that are thinking to join the photography club want to come because they want to be re-inspired or get inspiration.
Okay, well, I mean, what was it that you were inspired to shoot after watching Yellowstone?
Just going out and shooting in the light. I mean, I'm just looking out the window now, and it's a beautiful blue sky, lovely sun coming down. Half of the road looks to be in sun, and there's a real strong line going across a fence from somebody across the road, and the left side is all in complete shade. It's a real contrast there.
So you're talking about sort of landscape, street, urban sort of photography.
Landscape, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so I think that the reason I asked that question is because I guess you get inspiration for doing different things from different places. For me, I remember, I mean, and I know you said not in the past, but when I was working for Venture many years ago, me and Nat were watching The West Wing in the evenings. Someone we knew had it all on DVD. Remember DVDs, guys? And we just binged it through the DVDs. And there was this particular scene where it was quite darkly lit. It was the West Wing is basically a fictitious American president, so they were in the Oval Office. But the way it was lit, they were all rim lit, and it was really sort of really kind of amazing lighting, and the lighting was wicked. And it really struck a chord. And I thought, I'm going to do that in the studio. And I did. So I got that inspiration from that. And then that just took off. And then all these other ideas came from mine. Now, I guess the reason I said that is because that's specifically for portraiture. I think you find inspiration for different things in different places. If you're going to do a load of landscapes, then yeah, something like Yellowstone, I think would definitely inspire you. If you wanted to do something a bit more fantasy like, then maybe Stranger Things would inspire you a bit. But I guess there's imagery everywhere, like you say. There's a lot of stuff that you kind of get bombarded with stuff and the same old stuff. So I try and avoid social media for inspiration unless I'm looking for something specifically. Because everyone does do the same, or tends to be trending and all this kind of stuff. And once you like one picture or look at one picture on Facebook that you like, then you get 100 million others just like it, don't you? So I always wary about social media. But just looking around, I mean, you can get inspiration by the way the sun hits something. Like you were just saying there, Cam, there's this line and that has not necessarily inspired you, but maybe you want to investigate that line. How can you make that line photograph in a certain way? Benedict Brain was really good at that kind of stuff. Maybe he's talking about that corner he found. It's just many episodes ago. So he was, I can't remember if he was a cruise photographer at the time or he was just on a cruise and they went to this port and it was a beautiful port and everyone was taking pictures of the general stuff, the sort of the touristy type pictures. But he found this corner and I think there was a bike there or something and he was just taking loads, but investigating that. So yeah, I guess it's not just inspiration on how things look, but inspiration on how you investigate a photographic thing. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, it
What
does.
you're saying, it covers a lot of areas, doesn't it? I think for me, I'm not quite sure where I'm exactly thinking whilst you've been talking. It's all interesting what you're saying. I'm not quite sure where I get inspiration from, which doesn't really help the conversation very much, does it? But
not really, Rob. I mean, glad we got you in.
But I do get that. I do get that, Robert.
I think I do. I remember when John Mark, John taught me at college years ago. He showed me a lot of portrait lighting then when we did some studio training and that sort of thing. And he said, you'll never look at kind of cinematic posters or, sort of anything the same way once you've seen these lighting techniques, because you'll be able to identify all the lighting techniques and know what techniques being used. And it's true, ever since that, I look at any sort of film poster, any advert anywhere, whether it's a TV commercial or whether it's a film and they use a certain type of lighting, you can identify the lighting type used. And I've always found that quite inspiring to kind of give more. I've not done a huge amount of studio work over the years, and I've always enjoyed it when I have done, especially on the editing side. And so I think that's always something that's kind of interested me a lot, and I felt inspired by, I suppose you could say.
I tend to find that I actually don't really shoot that much now. I'm now sort of at the point where I'm getting others to, jobs will come in, and because I'm involved in other things, can you go and shoot this, or this is how it needs to be shot, so I can give instructions and clear instructions of how I would like it shot. So I don't necessarily pick up a camera that much now. But this was the thing. It was Yellowstone made me actually want to pick up my camera and actually pick it up and go out and actually shoot.
Did you do it? And did you go out and shoot?
I have done a couple of times actually. Just
I thought you were going to say no.
Local river have.
Yeah,
I have. Well, not for long. I did it with a couple of sort of like one-to-one photography lessons I was doing with some people, and so I had my camera with me because I bought the Fuji XTC. Is it XTC? I can't remember what it is now. The Fuji,
Ecstasy.
The retro. Whatever it is, XC. I can't remember what it is. Anyway, I love that camera, and I want to get out and use it, but I don't. But it has become a job for me. Photography is my career. It's my job, and I wouldn't say I've lost the love for photography. It's just changed. It's just changed as to what I do.
Well, here's a question for you two.
Sorry, go on.
When you go on holiday, do you take your camera with you?
No, never. I don't know, you do, and you love doing it, don't you? I never take it. I'd never even think of taking it.
No, I don't.
You don't? See, I always do. I mean, I guess it depends on where you're going. If you're going to Skegness, then I probably wouldn't, because you can go there anytime. But well, at least we can. But I guess, if I'm going somewhere, went to New York a fair few years ago now. And yeah, the camera went everywhere. Every time we went out, the camera was with me because there's no way I was going to miss it.
That's a big trip, isn't it? Yeah, I think if I was going to like New York, like you say, or Japan or somewhere, which is somewhere I'd love to
Yeah.
go one day, then I think I would take. I think I would take a camera then. I think I'd have to.
But even if I went to Spain, I would take it.
Mm.
Thing is, I'm doing quite a special trip later this year, and I've not actually thought whether I'm going to take my camera or not because I think it will get in the way. However, saying that though, what I did, and we've seen it at a photography show before, it's the attachment that goes onto your phone, which gives it a grip. Do you know?
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Robert? You've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen
it's
it.
basically So you've got your phone and it's a grip, so you hold it. It's like holding a camera. I thought, actual fact, shall I take that? It might just make it easier for me. No, I think I will take my camera because it is going to be
your camera.
I will do, but
shoot raw.
Yeah, that's right. Where's the raw setting?
Yeah.
And,
we're getting told off here, Cam. We're getting told off.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, but
I just think you were talking about inspiration, and that's part of it. For me, when I was going somewhere different, somewhere where, I mean, okay, New York is quite an obvious one, but even if you're going away anywhere, really, I don't do it so much these days because I did it. I do it quite a lot, but me and I have a group of mates. We go to this lake. So a friend of ours has a lease on a lake, and we go there to camp and drink beers and whatever. But the first few times I went, the camera went with me because I tell you what, certain lights, because it's like a wood by this lake, and the light going through the trees and everything, it just looks wicked. And that was inspiration for me to go and take that picture. Just going back to what you're asking about, what inspires you. I saw this and I thought, I have to take this picture. I'd have been really annoyed if I had to have my camera with me. Because the phone doesn't cut it for me.
Something I did. This is going to drive you crazy now hearing this, Mark. But I went to Iceland quite a few years ago, and I didn't take a camera. And we had a really good view of the Northern Lights. And I was sat there desperately with my phone. I need to get a picture of the Northern Lights. I was getting really cross. I was like, well, I should have just taken a camera, shouldn't I? And the annoying thing was everyone was around me, with basic cameras as well. At the time, very basic cameras, but they're getting these amazing pictures. The funny thing was people using their external flashes to try and light up the sky too.
That always makes me laugh when I see that.
I felt better about myself when I saw that. But I got some absolutely naff pictures on my phone of the Northern Lights. So I got a record of it, but I definitely felt frustrated because at the time I thought I'm not going to take anything. I'll be fine without it. But then I felt the need. I felt the inspiration in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And then,
but if you had taken a picture with the camera of the Northern Lights, of that view, that is something that you could then go through Photoshop, Infinity, wherever it is, right? And you could have edited it. You could have got it printed. It would be something on your wall right now.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
It's true. It's true.
That's right. Yeah, it's true.
But actually, as you say that, I did actually take my camera out. I think about it because I've got pictures on the wall from when I went to Iceland. What I didn't take was a tripod. So
oh right, okay.
It's a bit
shaky. Yeah, that was It was.
But you know what I'm saying. There's a massive picture of New York downstairs, and it was taken by me. I mean, especially how America's going at the moment, it's probably unlikely I'm going to visit the States anytime soon. I don't think I'll be allowed in. But because of my opinions on Trump, by the way, not because of anything else. So yeah, but it's also a picture that I've taken and no one else has, and it was that time. Do you know what I mean? There's an emotional attachment to it.
But there might be people listening to this thinking, yeah, they're having this conversation and he's watched Yellowstone and he's been there and done that and whatever. But what am I going to, what's going to make me feel inspired? And the one thing that I've learned from running the school is that the biggest inspiration actually just comes from contact with other photographers. It's having conversations with other photographers. Yes, you can get inspiration from watching a TV series. Yes, you can get inspiration from doing some research online. You can get some inspiration on Instagram. Yeah, I get all of that. But for me, the real inspiration comes from the conversations that our students have had. And I see it in the group chats we have. They've said, oh, we're going out to this. We're going out as a group to go and photograph this. Does anyone want to come? We're going to London for the day to do this. we're getting together and that type of thing. And I think if you, I think photography is quite an isolated sort of hobby, shall we call it, for a minute here? Okay, as well as a job. A lot of freelance photographers spend a lot of time on their own and have no contact with other photographers at all. I don't think that's a good thing. But where do you get that contact? How do you make contact? With things like clubs and people that aren't don't do photography as a career, but just do it as a hobby, is enroll on a course, join a club, find a community, get into something where you're just having conversations with other people, because I've seen firsthand how that really inspires people. That would be my best advice.
I mean, go to events as well. I mean, things like the photography and video show.
Definitely.
That's a good one to go to.
I think
especially if you're a student, because generally it's free.
And sometimes people get, I quite like a bit of gear. I'm a bit techie. And so
we all do, don't we?
You can find inspiration in that as well. It doesn't have to be like the creative inspiration, but sometimes you bought a new, bit of equipment, whatever it is. I want to test this now. What can I do with it? And that I think is inspiration in itself, because you just want to see what you can get out of a new bit of kit.
Yeah, but also knowing what you want to be in, what you want to do. If you're like, I want to be a photographer, what do you want to shoot? I have no idea. I have no idea. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah, and when you go to these photography shows, and we sort of go every year, and every year you come away from there feeling inspired, don't you?
Yes, you do.
You come away with your head full of ideas, and it's important that you try and follow at least one of those things. That it's very easy to go to a show, think, I've got this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and you end up not doing anything. And if you can sort of follow one of those things through, then you find it even more valuable. But going to the trade shows are fantastic. And there are a couple of trade shows coming up, actually. You've got the Society show, which I think is coming up in January. Have a look that up online. And then you've got the photography video show. I think that's in March. Is that right? I'm not sure. And it's back at the NEC this year, I think.
It is back at the NEC this year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I think they're going to alternate it.
Going to those, and it's not just because you'll see all the gear, that you'll see everything is photography around you, but you'll be talking to other people. Even if you just talk to the traders, the exhibitors that are going to be there. You go into Wex, say for example, and you're walking by, and you pop in, you think, I'll just go and have a look. You walk out of there generally feeling inspired, don't you? Because you've just seen something that gets you going. Yeah. So it's just really getting yourself out there. That's sort of my best advice. And that's it, guys. So
that is it.
I'll let you wrap up, Mark.
Okay. Well, yes, it was such a long time ago since we did an episode when we did the last one. We completely forgot to speak about our patrons and all that kind of stuff. So really, really sorry about that. But Cam, can you tell us where to find us? We got our socials and things. If you can tell, tell people where to find us, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. We're Spotify. We're all the major podcast outlets. Just type in the Photography Bar. You'll find us somewhere. YouTube, Spotify. What's the Apple one called? So it's called
Apple Podcasts.
It's the Apple Podcasts. I was going to say iTunes.
Yeah, Pocket Casts, Apple Podcasts. All of them, I think. I'm sure we're on all of those, aren't we?
So, yes, we are.
Should be anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Rob knows more than you do by the sounds of it, and he hasn't. But of course, we're also on Patreon. And we do have some patrons that we would absolutely like to thank. So we have Frank Case, Myra Zainab, Carl Sherville, Rob Percy, Craig Chuck, Emily Brown, and Nick Payne. So thank you very much for that, and thank you for your patience, because also we were missing for a couple of months.
Thank you, guys, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Okay, enjoy your photography and carry on shooting. Get out there and get inspired.
Keep shooting.
Get shooting. No, that's not going to last.